Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I have the One Piece Run 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 series by Megahouse. I'm collecting the characters that I like from this set, and I really love the concept because of how they reflect Zoro's horrible sense of direction. I received Sabo and Ace in my August haul, and today I'll be opening them together with the rest of the gang. So let's check it out. Okay, I'm not sharing this in any particular order, but starting off this video, I have the Uta Run 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 figure. I picked this up from Ami and she was retailed for about 6,000 yen, which is about 46 USD. I shipped this figure by surface with a bunch of other figures, so it took more than a month to get to me. Her pre-order was up in June 2023, and I got her in February 2024. So yeah, it's been a while and I'm finally putting this video out. Although these Run 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 figures are not super popular because of the support rods, I do love the designs of some of these characters. Especially Uta. The colors of her character is just aesthetic. Sure, she is just a random character that appeared for the movie, but she looks so fun. I love her hair. Anyway, this figure comes with a diorama base, followed by a figure of Uta looking so playful. Next, I have a windmill, and lastly, I have the clear plastic support rods. And that's all the components I have for this figure. Now to set Uta up. First up, to remove the plastic sheets on her. I didn't want to try and see if her head was removable, so I just put the plastic sheet out. Next, to remove the dummy pegs on the base, so I can insert this support rod. Now I can insert Uta into the base, with the support rod holding her shoe up. The last step is this little windmill. This slots into the little hole on the diorama base here. It's nice that they separate this so it doesn't break. And with that, Uta is assembled. And yes, according to the base, she was in Fuchsia Village with Luffy. And that's from the movie. But I don't think Luffy got the same base. As for Uta herself, I love her playful expression. Although this is a really small figure, Uta is very accurately detailed. Her hair, clothes, and face are perfectly sculpted. Plus, the paint job is very neat with very decent shading. It would be nice to have Luffy with her, but I don't really want to get Luffy. His base is off anyway. Moving on, the next figure I have is Yamato, and she is definitely my favorite Run 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 figure. I also picked her up from Ami for around the same price as Uta. She also went up for pre-order in June 2023, but arrived earlier than Uta in December 2023. Yeah, once again, it took me a while to open this up, and thankfully nothing was sticky. Just like Uta, the Run 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 boxes have a very nice big front window, and the inner side of the box reflects the scenery of the figure. Hence, you can technically display this figure in the box. Opening the box up, inside, there is only one blister package. The instructions are at the bottom of the box. I guess this is one way to save paper. Opening up the blister package, I first have the diorama base, and I believe Yamato was on Kaido's island. Contrasting the dark and gloomy setting, we next have Yamato running around with such happiness. She even comes with this additional accessory, which is Oden's book. It's so nicely detailed, seriously. Lastly, I have two support rods of different lengths. It's important to check the instructions to determine which rod goes where. And that's all the components I have. Now to assemble her. Once again, for the diorama base, I need to remove the dummy pegs. Before I set Yamato on the base, I want to swap out her hands with the ones with the book. She looks cuter like this. Next is to insert the support rods. And yeah, this is what people hate about the Run 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 figures. But for the price and concept, I think it's okay. At least these support rods are transparent. With the rods in, I can now set her up on the base. With that, Yamato is fully assembled. Sadly, I feel these Run 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 figures are not super stable on the base, so I've got to be careful moving them about. As for Yamato, she is extremely detailed, with the shading and folds of the fabric nicely sculpted. The book she has is so worn out, and her hair is in such a beautiful color. It's a very detailed sculpt for a very small figure. Definitely one of my favorite from this series. Moving on, I have Zoro. He is also from Ami for around the same price as the other two. He went up for pre-order in June 2023 as well, and was released in November 2023. So I got him earlier than the other two, but am opening him up so late. Thankfully, he's not sticky as well. Zoro's box is the same as the other two, but it's in a green color, matching his moss green hair. The design is quite nice, with little clouds here and there on the box. The box also has photos of this figure taken at really nice angles. Opening up this box, inside, there is only one blister package, and the instructions comes in a separate piece of paper, unlike the other two. Inside the blister package, I first have the diorama base, which is set as Zoro's childhood dojo. Next, I have Zoro's sword sleeves, followed by the figure of Zoro. Have you noticed that he's running in the wrong direction? It's quite hilarious. Next, I have two support rods for Zoro, and once again, the instructions are important to determine which goes where. And that's all the components for Zoro. Now to assemble him. Once again, I need to take out the dummy packs from the base first. As for Zoro, I need to insert the support rods. Yeah, the position of one of these rods got people hating this figure, but oh wells. Once both the rods are in, I can now set Zoro into the base. Next are Zoro's sword sleeves, which have holes at the ends. They slot into the plastic packs on the sword handles which Zoro is holding. Once those are in, Zoro is fully assembled. Although he is less detailed than the other two figures, he is very nicely sculpted regardless. They captured Zoro in childhood form really well. I quite like how long his swords are compared to his size, plus his mossy green hair is so spiky and nicely shaded. My favorite thing about Zoro is the direction he's running in. When you put them all together, it's hilarious. It's like the perfect opportunity to reflect his bad sense of direction. Okay, with Zoro opened, I have to do Sanji next. I also bought him off Ami for around the same price. He was on pre-order in September 2023, and I received him in March 2024. Sanji's box is similar, but is in a blue color instead. There is also a teal color at the bottom of the box, and I think the whole intention is to match the Barati. Anyway, opening this box up, there is only one blister package as well. At the bottom of the box, there are instructions for assembly. Inside the blister package, I first have the diorama base, which of course features the Barati. This is my favorite base amongst all the Run figures. Look at how cool this is. Next is Sanji in his very adorable chef outfit. The shading on that white outfit is stunning. Lastly are the support rods, which have different lengths. And that's all the components for this figure. Now to set Sanji on the base. Once again, I need to remove the dummy packs from the base first. Before putting Sanji on this base, I need to slot the support rods into Sanji's legs first. Technically, all these support rods are actually on the character legs, so I can accept that. With the support rods on, I can set Sanji on the base. And with that, Sanji is fully assembled, and he is simple yet adorable. His face and mouth is nicely sculpted, and this hair is very nicely shaded as well. As for the base, the fish boat looks so good. That 3D perspective view is so creative and nicely frames the figure. I know that at this age he's not a chef yet, but I kinda wish they gave him a chef hat. That would have made this figure look a lot more detailed and interesting. Regardless, the outfit that he already has is very nicely sculpted and shaded. Very good quality for a little low budget figure. Moving on, the next figure I have is Ace. And this time, I bought him from H-Poi Taobao. He is slightly more expensive from China, but I went for it because the shipping is significantly cheaper for me. I pre-ordered this in January 2024 and received him in July the same year. For Ace, his box color is red, and it matches his fiery abilities. On the box, there are also photos of this figure, and I feel that they nicely present the context this figure is set in. It kinda reflects the scenery that's on the inner side of the box. Opening up the box, inside, there is also only one blister package. And at the bottom of the box are the instructions. It's actually a nice idea for simple figures like this. Inside the blister package, I first have the diorama base, and it's set on Dawn Island where Ace was in his childhood. Next is the figure of Ace himself, followed by his pipe weapon. Lastly, I have his plastic support rod. And that's all the components for this figure. Now for assembly. Once again, I need to first remove the dummy packs of the diorama base. Next is to slot the plastic support rods, which have different lengths, into Ace. Before I set Ace on the base, I want to slot his weapon in. The pipe can be taken apart to do so. With the pipe in, I can put the cap back, and with that, Ace is done. After I set Ace on his base, he is fully assembled. The accessory Ace has is a nice touch to this figure. It's like the kids are going on an adventure. His outfit is simple but very nicely sculpted. That red singlet is also shaded very well. As for his hair, it's simple yet nicely sculpted. It's black, so shading isn't very obvious. Regardless, I think Megahouse has captured the essence of Ace's character design really well in this figure. With Ace out of the box, I need to do Sabo next. I also picked him up from HPoy Taobao to get the cheaper shipping rate. I also pre-ordered him in January 2024 with Ace, but he was released later in August the same year. For Sabo, his box is blue, representing the blue suit he is always in his childhood. You know, Sabo is probably my second favorite character from One Piece, especially when he first made his reappearance in the Colosseum. It was so epic, and he was so cool. Sadly, he doesn't get much screen time. As for the figure, I first have the base, and it's set in the grey terminal. Next is the figure of Sabo himself, and he has my favorite outfit amongst all the Run 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 figures. Plus, he has a pipe weapon, just like Ace. Lastly are the plastic support rods. And that's all the components for this figure. Now to assemble him up. For the base, I need to take out the dummy packs once again. As for the pipe weapon, it can also be taken apart, and this lets me slot the pipe into his hands. Once it's in, I can put the cap back on. With Sabo done, I can slot the support rods in next. They have different lengths, so once again, I have to check the instructions to determine which rod goes where. Lastly is to set him on the base. With that, Sabo is fully assembled. His base setting is so gloomy, but it represents his sad backstory really well. The flashback with Luffy and Ace was so emotional. As for his outfit, I really like how it looks. The top hat with the goggles is so nicely done. Plus the shading and sculpt of the blue coat is just beautifully vibrant. I think I'm a sucker for blue things. That's why this is my favorite figure outfit of all the Run 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 figures. It's so detailed and the colors are just aesthetic. Okay, the last but not least figure for this haul is Law, and he is my favorite character in One Piece. Sadly, Law isn't my favorite from this Run 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 set. But I still needed him cause we don't really have much official figures of childhood Law out there. I wonder if we can get a Beppo Run 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 figure. I would totally get that polar bear. As for Law's box, it's in that dirty yellow color, which is the usual color scheme for Law. As for the design, it's pretty much the same as the rest of the Run 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 figures. Opening this box up, there is also only one blister package. And below the box, there are instructions for the figure assembly. Inside the blister package, I first have the diorama base, which I believe is the destroyed White City where Law was from. Next is the figure of Law, which is quite simple compared to the rest of the figures. Lastly is the plastic support rod. And that's all the components I have for Law. Now to assemble him up. First up is the base. I have to remove the dummy packs once again. Before I can put Law into this base, I need to slot the support rods into his leg first. Now to set him up on the base. And with that, Law is fully assembled. Despite how dull and monochrome the colors are, I quite like how the base is done. There is a little bit of gold, and it's a nice touch to add details to the debris. As for Law, his outfit is nicely sculpted. His fluffy hat especially. It's very nicely textured and the shading is great. My main issue for this figure is the angle of his face. It's mostly looking downwards, so he needs to be on a higher shelf to see his face. Here is how his face looks like from the correct angle. He doesn't have the white patches for the disease which he has as a child. So yeah, I don't know, maybe because those patches are not fully developed yet. Anyway, that's all the figures I have for this Run 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 unboxing. The best part about all these figures is setting them together. The whole purpose is just to see Zoro running in the wrong direction. They all look so fun and adorable. Zooming in, all the characters are quite accurately sculpted, and the paint job and shading are quite high quality, better than most cheap price figures, which are around the same price. For those with big smiley face, the mouth sculpt is actually quite perfect. Yes, it's sculpted, not printed. As for the base, this concept for a low-budget figure is genius. It represents the figures very well, and just designing this 3D context as a base probably took a lot of effort. Kudos to that. Sadly, I feel the supports are somewhat flimsy. Yes, the figures sit kinda loosely in the base, so requires care when carrying about. Other than that, I love this set of Run 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 figures. If they produce more characters which I like, I'm quite likely going to expand this collection, but I'm not too sure where the new ones will go. Anyway, that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed what you saw, do leave a like and subscribe with notifications to stay tuned to more videos. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye!